Hi, welcome back to The Last Express. We just saw Kath have an encounter with a German dealer of some kind that expected payment from Tyler Whitney in the form of gold. For what merchandise, we don't yet know. We met a mysterious woman who is a concert violinist, at least that's what she says. And we also saw this fellow here in the smoking car eyeballing a couple of Russian people in the dining car. I wonder if he knows anything about our Russian scroll.
Excuse me. Could you tell me what this paper says?
It's a Russian fairy tale. For children.
Could you translate it for me?
Do you know what a fairy tale is? It's one of the ways the exploiters make the people forget that they're enslaved. For 100 years, Russian peasants have told their children this story of a hero who plucks the tail feather from a firebird. Child goes to bed with an empty stomach and dreams of a hero who will never come.
Sorry I asked.
Well, that was not very helpful. But we did hear the term firebird in relation to the scroll. And Schmidt, in typical early century German fashion, has to mention that Anna is a Jew. So the conductor just announced the second service. Generally, different people will show up when the second service is announced. And here we see Francois and his mother and father. And the Russians, the young woman and older man, are about to leave, I think. Yes, they are.
Et j'exige que tu te comportes. Claude, dis-lui de s'asseoir convenablement.
So if we sit in the lounge during this, we'll see this scene play out.
Василий Александрович.
Дедушка.
Василий Александрович, меня зовут Алексей Дольников. Вы, кажется, знавали моего батюшку.
Да, знавал я одного Дольникова, Петра Николаевича. Хороший был человек, набожный. Сын у него был. Опозорил и отца, и всю семью свою. Пойдем, внученька. Устал я малость.
Василий Александрович, how many thousands have you condemned to prison and torture in the name of your piety? Или вы счет потеряли?
Well, I think you made a pretty good first impression.
So we see Kath ribbing Alex a little bit there.
Прекрати. Тихонечко.
Excuse-moi,
Ах, дедушка, посмотрите.
Excusez-moi, monsieur.
Они уже приготовили постель. Вы, наверное, очень устали.
Excusez-moi, monsieur.
Ложитесь, отдыхайте.
And we see the girl and her grandfather, whose name is Vasily, are in rooms A and B. As we pass by, we'll hear the two younger women that we saw earlier laughing in their double room, which is E.
Pardon me?
Alex is in number 2 next to us.
Monsieur Whitney, excusez-moi. His Excellency wishes to receive you in his private car.
His Excellency.
Yes, monsieur. He's waiting for you.
So I mentioned earlier that the two rear cars are private cars rented out to somebody named His Excellency, who would like to speak to us.
Hello. It seems I've been sent for by someone named His Excellency. That wouldn't be you, would it?
She seemed unamused by that.
What an unexpected pleasure, Mr. Robert Cath.
Usually people call me Tyler Whitney.
You should take care when choosing a name for yourself. Names have power. The most primitive cultures understood this, but of course it will be as you prefer.
Not everyone has the luxury of choosing his own name, Mr.
Kronos. Whether you are Cath or Whitney is a matter of indifference to me. I am prepared to continue the discussions begun by my agent in Paris, provided that you have the peace of which you spoke.
Is Kronos your first name or your last name?
I have no time to continue these delightful discussions of names. I have brought with me a rather heavy briefcase. I would like to know now if the proposed exchange interests you, and if you are capable of completing it.
Not just at the moment, but I have hopes of being able to do so.
In that case, we have nothing further to discuss. I myself must leave the train in Vienna. In case we do not see each other again, I wish you a pleasant journey to Istanbul, and continued success in evading the British and French authorities. Have a pleasant evening, Mr. Cath. Kahina will show you out.
Robert Cath was what Kronos called us.
Bonsoir, monsieur.
Clearly, Kronos knows much more than anyone else that we've met at this point as to what is actually going on. Also, he called his assistant Kahina. Now, what exactly did he want to buy from us / Tyler? We expect it was maybe the 2 objects in Tyler's case, which someone stole. Now, if that's true, we're in a bit of a pickle with August Schmidt. Although, really, what's it to us? I mean, we didn't agree to this transaction with Tyler. We're not Tyler Whitney. We don't even know why he was doing this, so what do we care? However, we also heard from Kronos that Cath is on the run from the British authorities. And we will see more about that in a little while. Now I'm back in the rear sleeping car, and we know that there's a harem in here. The attendant is knocking on one of the harem's doors. I wonder what he wants.
ايه انت بتعمل ايه هنا؟
I was just going to make the beds for the night, monsieur.
قلت لك سيبهم في حالهم يا غبي.
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
انت اطرش. قلت لك امشي من هنا.
I'm very sorry, monsieur. I do not understand.
The attendant has angered the harem's bodyguard. But what we heard is that he is going room to room making up the beds, and we have something very incriminating in our bed. So we're going to need to head this guy off at the pass and make sure that he doesn't go into our room and find a dead body in our bed.
Forgive me, monsieur.
And here we see Kahina walking somewhere in the train. What do you suppose she's up to? Well, we could actually rewind time and follow Kahina around, but like I said, sometimes the characters will just disappear into places that we can't go, and that is definitely the case with Kahina. If you try following her, you will not be successful, or at least I wasn't.
Just a minute.
Yes, monsieur?
Don't bother making up the bed. I'll find it easier to sleep if you just leave it as it is.
Monsieur, you will be surprised at how comfortable our beds are. Many people who say they never sleep on trains find that...
I told you to leave it.
Of course, monsieur. It's as you wish. Have a pleasant night, monsieur.
Alright, so that takes care of that. If we look here at the attendant's magazine, he has inside it the entire list of passengers and what rooms they're in, so we will be stealing that, of course. I'm sure it won't cause any problems for Renee. Looking at this list, starting with the rear sleeping car, we have the late Tyler Whitney in 1, Alexei Delnikov, the Russian, in 2, and August Schmidt in 3. Mahmoud Makhta in 4, and a harem, not necessarily his harem, but a harem, in rooms 5 through 8. And then 9 has someone named Marischal Putnik, who it says is Serbian. More about that later. Behind them is Kronos in the private car. And it doesn't have his first name either. And notice that he and Kahina plan on getting off in Vienna. Tyler planned on stopping in Belgrade in Serbia, as did Putnik and Schmidt. Alexei was going to Budapest and the harem all the way to Constantinople. In the other compartment, we have Vasily, who it says is a count, and his granddaughter Tatiana, and they're in A and B. Vasily's in A, Tatiana's in B. They're going to Constantinople, as are the Boutarel family with the husband Claude in C, and little Francois and Madame Boutarel in D. The two younger women are Sophie and Rebecca, one French and one English, and they're in E. Anna Wolf is labeled as being an Austrian, going to Budapest. She is an F. And then the rest of the forward sleeping car is made up of Serbs. Those are the men and women we saw in gray in the dining car: Milos, Vesna, Salko, and Ive. Down there in the notes it says that Miss Wolf is traveling with a dog, and it also says that room I was to be given to Jean Jaurès, but he didn't show up. So a note about those two names, Jean Jaurès and Marshal Putnik. Neither of them are on the train, but both of them are actual historical figures. Jaurès is one of the founders of French socialism. He was a political writer and a speaker, and he's still revered in France today. Apparently, people invoke his name both on the right and the left wing. Jaurès was a powerful anti-militarist in France, and so it was hoped that he would get the citizens on his side and he could prevent France from entering the First World War. But the day before France declared war, he was assassinated by a nationalist who, by all rights, was just an insane person. But still, he was assassinated. In the game world, he just missed the train. And Marshal Putnik, Radomir Putnik, was a Serbian field marshal. He was actually, in real life, arrested in Austria-Hungary slightly after war between Serbia and Austria had begun. But Franz Josef, the Emperor of Austria, actually let him leave and return to Serbia out of some feeling of honor, I guess. And he, the marshal, would go on to lead Serbian soldiers in the war until he was fired in 1916. Just kind of an interesting little tidbit. Yeah, in the game, apparently he took an earlier train. I guess it says that in the strategy guide. I don't have that strategy guide. And what is going on with this? One of the Serbs has just knocked on our room, calling for Tyler, and then entering on his own. So let's see what he wants.
Who are you?
This is my compartment. Who are you?
This is Tyler Whitney's compartment. Where is Tyler? Ubийца!
Okay, in this action sequence, we need to dodge the swings of the knife, which unfortunately you have to do with the mouse, and you have to click the down button at the right time. This is a one-hit kill, so if we screw up, we die instantly, and we have to start the sequence over. It really doesn't put us back very far, but it is very annoying. And after a few times of dodging the knife, we will get this hand icon.
As I was about to say, I didn't kill him.
Who are you?
My name is Robert Kath.
So you are Kath. Tyler spoke of you. He was afraid you were angry with him.
You shouldn't have worried. That was a long time ago. You better tell me what's going on. Tyler had a meeting with someone named August Schmidt. What was that about?
Where's the gold?
What gold? I saw a wooden box in a hell of a mess.
Then we are lost. How can I tell this to the general? Oh, I must tell to the others.
What general? What were you and Tyler mixed up in?
You must tell no one about this. No one.
Not even the train conductor?
You've been warned. It's an Aruka. The Black Hand.
Okay. So according to this Serb, whose name is Milos, Tyler was in league with the Black Hand, a terrorist group or a freedom fighting group, depending on your point of view, in Serbia, who were actively fighting the Austrian Empire. As you probably know, a member of the Black Hand actually killed Franz Ferdinand, which happened, I think, about a week before the events of the game. So Tyler was supposed to have the gold which Schmidt wanted. It's kind of odd that Schmidt would want to be transacting with Serbian terrorists, given that he's German who were allied with the Austrians. Maybe Schmidt just isn't much of a patriot, or maybe Tyler didn't let on who the merchandise was for. I mean, Tyler was an American, so it wouldn't have been obvious to Schmidt who whatever these goods are were eventually bound for. Either way, you know, since we don't know what the merchandise is, we're not really in a good position to say.
Bonsoir, mon oncle.
As-tu oublié quelque chose?
C'est que... Vous voulez dire la liste des passagers? Il semble que je l'ai égarée quelque part.
Pardon me? Que veux-tu dire?
Je l'avais laissée ici, à l'intérieur de mon journal. Elle était rangée, j'allais vous la ramener. Je ne peux pas croire qu'elle soit tombée, j'ai cherché partout.
Et celle de Couder?
Les deux étaient ensemble.
C'en est trop! Qu'est-ce que tu crois que je vais pouvoir écrire dans mon rapport? Mon neveu n'est qu'un épouvantable paresseux et n'a obtenu son emploi que grâce à moi. Je l'épaule et il perd la liste complète des passagers de 2 wagons couchettes. Ce n'est pas possible. Tu as intérêt à retrouver cette liste avant que nous arrivions à Budapest.
Oui, mon oncle, je suis désolé, mon oncle. Elle doit être ici, quelque part.
Quand j'avais ton âge, je portais encore les sacs des voyageurs. Les jeunes d'aujourd'hui ont la vie trop facile. Ils ne s'en rendent pas compte.
Well, we seem to have inadvertently screwed over René.
Bonsoir, monsieur.
Tends d'aller se coucher. Tu iras au bout du train demain.
The Serbians in room G are now having a loud argument in Serbian, seemingly about what just happened in Kath's room. But again, Kath doesn't speak that language, so there's no telling what the argument is about unless the viewer can speak that language. I cannot.
Le train entre en gare d'Épernay.
All of Russia may go into
Épernay,
revolt.
5 minutes d'arrêt.
After a month on the island, you won't think about such things. Listen, why don't you write a play when we get there? Ça pourrait être un chef-d'œuvre. Une de tes amusantes petites pièces, comme celle que tu as écrite sur Réginald. Je serai Ariane et tu seras Théséus. Joséphine sera le Minotaure. Pourtant, tu es tellement têtu que ça devrait être ton rôle. Joséphine? Oui, je ne t'ai pas dit. Elle m'a écrit à la dernière minute car elle voulait absolument nous rejoindre. Elle déteste être à l'écart de ce qui se passe. Oh, ne fais pas cette tête-là. Bien sûr, nous serons ensemble. Après tout, on n'est pas des jeunes mariés. On va pas passer tout notre temps à admirer des couchers de soleil.
In that little conversation, Rebecca seemed quite disappointed to hear that she and Sophie would not be alone on their island that they're traveling to. Of course, that doesn't seem to have anything to do with the other stuff that's going on in the game. I should point out at this point that if the attendant sees us trying to get into anyone else's room, he will stop us. So we can't just turn around and start opening doors. In any case, not many rooms are open to us at this point. Tyler's room is unlocked. And Vasily, that's the old Russian count, his room is unlocked because his granddaughter Tatiana is taking care of him, so she needs to be able to get in there. If we wanted to, we could also sneak into his room. And we can ask Kath to smoke in the hallway. Unlike in Deadly Premonition, smoking does not pass time in this game. Now, one possible way into someone else's room is to use the outside of the train by going through a window. Unfortunately, Kath can only climb one window from his, and only toward the rear of the car. He can't go forwards. I don't know why. So if we do that, we see that Alex is in his room, and so there's no point in trying to get in there. But it's interesting to note, anyway. And this cutscene also passes a few minutes every time it plays, so it's the way that I usually pass time in the game. If I'm waiting for something to happen, I just repeatedly have Kath climb out of the window and then go back in.
Tu sais, j'ai juste 3 lits à faire et un seul de mes passagers a besoin de mes services.
Plains-toi, tu trouves pas que t'exagères un peu? Pourquoi tu fais pas leur compartiment?
J'ai le harem, dans 4 compartiments, je n'ai pas le droit d'entrer. L'eunuque qui ne parle aucune langue civilisée et prend son sabre à chaque fois que je m'approche d'une de ses filles. Et un Américain qui a peur que je lui fasse son lit.
Un lit de qui il veut dormir?
Tu crois que c'est ça? Et toi?
Tout va bien. Un malade, un enfant, un loup, rien de spécial. Mais c'est dommage que M. Jaurès ne se soit pas présenté. Cela m'aurait vraiment fait plaisir.
Qu'as-tu dit, un loup?
Je m'y connais pas trop, mais cette bête a bien l'air d'un loup.
L'enfant, je l'ai déjà vu.
Évidemment.
Allez, je dois rentrer. Si l'allemand sonne et que je ne suis pas là, ça déclencherait une guerre.
Allez, bonsoir mon petit.
Having a look at this newspaper in the smoking car. This story is about the Mexican Revolution, which was going on from about 1910 to 1920. And it was a pretty complicated war, all told, with the revolutionary forces that were supported by the Germans and the federal troops, the anti-revolutionary forces, which were supported by the US and by Britain. This story, I don't know if it's historical. This story about the Komagata Maru is about a real steamship from Asia that landed in Canada. And Canada was, at the time, going through what I would characterize as a racist phase. Certainly very anti-immigrant. But you had people living in India and other British Commonwealth nations who desperately wanted to get out of that third world. And a fisherman, Gurdeep Singh Sandhu, hatched a plan to, try to circumvent the immigration laws of Canada by chartering this steamship, the Komagata Maru, and smuggle around 380 Asians, all of whom, as I said, were British subjects. Canada didn't let the ship land and actually stranded it out in sea for almost a month. 16 of the men were killed, and the rest of them were arrested and eventually deported. It's a pretty sad and pretty embarrassing event in Canada's fairly recent history, although as an American, maybe we're in no position to talk. This story is about the Karluk, a Canadian Arctic expedition vessel with the anthropologist Vilhjalmur Stefansson as its leader. When the ship got stranded in ice, he and a small team just left the ship, basically high and dry, and the ship sank, stuck in the ice, and that left the ship's captain to try to get his men to safety. And it was a scandal, I guess, because as a scientist, Stefansson seemed, indifferent to the men on the ship, and it was left to their captain, Robert Bartlett. Bartlett, notice the typo here. It is Bartlett, not Bartlett. It was up to their captain to step up and save them. Now, if we back out of the newspaper here, we'll see that Anna Wolf has blatantly ignored the poly-exclusion principle and was reading the newspaper even as we were.
Are you reading about Madame Caillot?
Have you read it?
Just a guess. It was either that or Rasputin. They don't seem to write about anything else.
Don't you care about Rasputin?
Oh, sure I do. I like him. Just when you think he's dead, he pops back up again. Good night, Miss Wolf.
I think Kath there sort of breaking the fourth wall a bit. Because, of course, it wasn't until more than 2 years after these events that Rasputin was said to have survived a poisoning by cyanide and then being shot once, being shot again before he finally died, at least according to the story. We could ask Anna about the scarf again, but really, what would be the point?
Conductor, would you lock my door, please?
One thing to note about August Schmidt is that he obviously seemed quite taken with Anna, even though, in his words, she was Jewish. And why not? She does appear to be a striking lady. We see he and Miss Wolf now in the smoking car, but they're not interacting right now. I want to catch another event at the opposite end of the train, so let's mosey over there now. Hopefully we can get back before they start talking about something.
Bonsoir, monsieur.
So here's Tatiana looking out this window, and as we try to leave...
Do you have a match?
Aren't you a little young to smoke?
Monsieur, I'm not a little girl. I have just spent the whole season in Paris. I'm very tired and I want to smoke. Thank you.
Что там произошло?
Вы говорите по-русски?
Немного. Only what my mother was able to teach me.
How funny. An American who speaks Russian. Then you heard the horrible things that man said to my grandfather.
Who is he?
His name is Alexei. We grew up together. We used to play together every summer in Odessa. I can't imagine why he should want to quarrel with my grandfather. It's so childish.
Well, maybe he'll grow up. Like you. Do you think you could read this?
The Firebird. It's beautiful. Look at his burning tail. Where did it come from?
It belonged to a friend of mine. What does it say?
It's a poem for children. It's a story about Prince Ivan and the Firebird. If you like, I could write out a translation and give it to you in the morning.
Спасибо, Татьяна.
Не за что. Спокойной ночи.
Well, that tells us what the scroll is in a literal sense, but it doesn't seem to point to why Tyler had it.
Oui, madame?
Ai-je rêvé ou est-ce réellement un chien dans le compartiment voisin?
Ce n'est pas directement dans le compartiment voisin, madame, mais vous avez raison. Le chien appartient à madame Wolf.
Je dois avouer que je suis très surprise que la compagnie ignore ses propres règles.
Bien sûr, vous avez raison, madame, mais vous savez, madame Wolf voyage toujours avec son chien.
Le problème n'est pas le bruit, mais l'hygiène. Dans une voiture de première, c'est vraiment inadmissible.
Je comprends ce que vous voulez dire, madame. Mais dans un train de première classe ordinaire, bien sûr, cela ne se produirait pas. Mais vous savez, madame, l'Orient Express a une histoire bien spéciale. Tout le monde sait que madame Wolf voyage toujours avec son énorme chien. Cela fait partie du romantisme légendaire de l'Orient Express. Certains de nos passagers sont parfois extrêmement déçus de ne pas avoir la chance de voyager en sa compagnie.
J'espère qu'il est attaché au moins.
Oh, bien sûr, madame. Il est très bien dressé. Le meilleur chien que vous ne puissiez rencontrer. Je vous assure que vous vous rendrez à peine compte qu'il y a un chien dans le train.
Bon, on verra ça.
Y a-t-il autre chose, madame?
Non, merci.
Bonsoir, madame.
Pardon.
Qu'est-ce que tu écris? Fais ce que tu veux. Moi, je vais au salon.
So there, Madame Bouturel is complaining about Miss Wolf's dog. And we also hear Sophie, sort of at the same time, getting a little bit cross with Rebecca.
Do you know, when I saw you in London, I thought you were English.
Not really.
Yes, really.
My wife is English. Perhaps because of this.
It's more than that. It's the way you dress, the way you carry yourself. And of course, you speak English so beautifully. I would never have believed you were German.
Is that so? But really, Miss Wolf, your own English is also very good.
Miss Wolf does appear to like Schmidt, but their relationship seems a bit incongruent, don't you think? But maybe he is just her type. Or maybe Anna is just being friendly, and we shouldn't read too much into this.
Les industriels de tous les pays qui nous mènent à la guerre. Et c'est nous, les ouvriers, le peuple, qui allons le payer cher, comme toujours.
Qu'est-ce que tu racontes là? T'es socialiste, toi?
Je suis un prolétaire comme toi. La seule façon d'éviter la guerre, c'est d'organiser la classe ouvrière de l'Allemagne, de la France et de l'Angleterre. C'est nous qui allons au casse-pipe, pas les politiciens.
Dis ce que tu veux, mais si les Allemands nous poussent à bout, on va reprendre l'Alsace et la Lorraine.
Mais tu n'y comprends rien. Ça ne se fait plus avec l'épée, la guerre moderne. Ça serait un massacre. On n'est plus en 1870.
Excuse-moi, j'ai du travail. Mais ton idée m'intéresse. On continuera cette conversation plus tard.
Well, that attendant there is prescient. He sees what even many of the French generals in 1914 did not see.
Oh, I could go on talking like this forever. But I'm so tired. I can hardly keep my eyes open.
I do wish we could go on talking forever.
Good night, Herr Schmidt.
Anna leaves to go back to her room, and the only people around now are Monsieur Bouturel and Schmidt. So this is one of those times where there are a lot of transitions happening. We see Anna go to her room. Sophie and Rebecca, who are next door to her, leave their room. Now, I mentioned earlier that their room is unlocked, so we could actually, in theory, have gotten in there and then used the window to enter Anna's room when she wasn't there. But the girls stay in their room until Anna arrives back in her room, so we don't actually have that chance. And if we try it now...
Mademoiselle de Breteuil and Miss Norton are not in.
Yeah, the attendant is watching, but he won't always be. Let's explore forward in the train a bit. We can actually go past the dining car toward the baggage car.
T'es bouché ou dur de la feuille?
Pardon, désolé, il n'y a que des carottes.
Espèce d'incapable. Oh, même les choses les plus simples sont trop dures à comprendre pour ta petite tête. Oh, excuse me, monsieur. C'était pas this way, monsieur. Good evening, monsieur. Monsieur, can I help you?
Yes, I wanted to get something out of my suitcase.
The baggage car is off limits to passengers. Suitcases cannot be opened during the journey.
Not even by you?
The baggage compartment is sealed, monsieur. In this way, passengers on the Orient Express are spared the inconvenience of customs checks. Now, I really must invite you to return to the passenger car.
So that scene with the conductor tells us that we can't access the front of the train, at least as long as he's sitting there. But just like the attendant, he won't always be there. He won't always be watching. Now, my psychic abilities indicate that this attendant is about to be remiss in his duty and will fade into sleep. Yes. And that lets us enter Sophie and Rebecca's double room. Of course, I'm not so much interested in these two women. Although, you know, we will snoop around a little bit here. But rather, I am interested in the room next door to theirs, which is Miss Wolf's. Because I have a feeling that Anna is not all she appears to be. But first, let's rifle through Rebecca's diary, because, I mean, who wouldn't read a perfect stranger's diary?
Dear friend, at last, today Sophie and I set forth on our journey. A journey to the east, away from the London and Paris we have seen far too much of, and toward an unknown future. The sense of liberty is intoxicating. Surely even the most jaded appetite cannot resist the thrill of travel. The clamour and bustle of the Gare de l'Est, the furtive glances of the passengers as they assess each other. For 3 days can be a very long time crowded together in these elegant carriages. And then, the irrevocable moment when the train begins to move forward, the rhythm growing, the countryside beginning to flash by, and the past is left behind.
And the voice acting ends there. But she continues, no more Reginald with his wet little handshake and mild assurances of our future together in his underheated flat with his mother's furniture. Sophie has saved me in her careless, wonderful way. I have made the break, I do not care. Even my mother agrees that Sophie, daughter of her closest friend, is the perfect traveling companion to help me recover from my broken heart. We have escaped. Of course, I must remember that Sophie has traveled more widely than I. How jealous I always was, hearing her stories of that rich and gorgeous life she led before we met. But now I too can lay claim to some adventure. Even I, the little gray mouse, will be able to tell a tale or two, though of course, I shall always remain silent. I shall see my experience reflected in the eyes of my beloved. They have called the second service. Sophie is hungry. Until later. Okay, yeah. Rebecca does seem to be in love with Sophie, and in a not purely platonic way. It's not clear whether Sophie is okay with this, or even whether she's aware of this. But you know, that's really none of our business. After all, we have a matter of possibly global intrigue to play our part in. So if we pop out of the window, we see that Anna is already asleep, so there'll be no snooping in her room tonight. Damn it. And there's nothing in this bathroom. And no, we cannot cross using this bathroom. That's locked. But also, Anna would probably know that we were sneaking into her room. After all, she has a guard dog. Now you notice that in this car, the attendant is not asleep. So now, we still have to deal with Tyler's body. And even though it was a bad strategy when we were near Paris, anytime after Epernay, if you throw the body out the window, it will fall into water. So as painful as it is, we must say goodbye to our friend. I guess he was our friend. Hopefully nobody will ever find him. Even if they do, in a few years, France is going to be littered with bodies from the war anyway, I suppose. So there's nothing really else to do right now, so at this point we may as well just go to sleep. As far as our questions, we know that Tyler wanted to broker a deal with Kronos for whatever was in the case and use the gold that he got from Kronos to pay Schmidt for something. We don't know what. Since Milos told us that it was for a general, we might suspect it's weapons that he wants to buy from Schmidt, though that's not for sure. We're definitely no closer to knowing who killed Tyler. Kronos knows Tyler is dead, but he also doesn't have what's in Tyler's room, so it seems unlikely that he killed Tyler unless Tyler was robbed before Kronos murdered him. The Serbs seem unlikely because they actually wanted Tyler to pay Schmidt. We don't know who has the item that Tyler was going to sell to Kronos, and it isn't clear how that scroll that we found telling the tale of the Firebird plays into anything. But let's just get a good night's rest, and maybe tomorrow we'll discover something to help us along.